Hello, friends. It's True Crime with Just Julie today, and we have a nice snowy backdrop to some not so nice things. So here we go. Let's start. This week we did a big catch up last week, so this week we're just talking updates and 1 week of news. Okay, Austin Maddox. This is y'all. Former Red Sox pitcher Austin Maddox got caught in a sting that would make Chris Hansen proud. T-Cap. Y'all remember T-Cap. Maddox was arrested in a 5-day sting in Jacksonville, Florida called Valiant Nights that arrested individuals for who were using the internet to actually exploit kids, if you know what I mean. Maddox, 33, was seen in a mugshot with red marks on his face and a swollen red eye. Oh no. After being tackled to the ground by police. Overall, during Valiant Nights, 27 men were arrested over the 5 days, which is disconcerting, of course. The Jacksonville police released a video footage of the sting, including Maddox being arrested, where he thought he was meeting a 14-year-old girl. Maddox allegedly fought arrest until a canine was involved. So it was, yeah. Austin will be in court in May 28th, and he is facing 4 felonies, including traveling to meet a child after using a computer to solicit a minor. His bail is $300K. Cue the goat scream. There's some housewives drama. I don't really follow housewives, but, you know, we live a little hot goss around here, okay? So only in Orange County, because someone get mad, because one housewife, Tamara Judge, spoke out about another housewife's fiance, Jennifer Pedronti. Tamara said that Jennifer's fiance is disgusting for his part in the MLB $16 million gambling scandal. Ryan Boyajian is allegedly involved with a gambling ring. And apparently it was just one step too far. Because to me, saying that someone is disgusting for being in a gambling ring could be even considered forgiving or a light way of communicating it. Low key, if you will. But Jennifer says, "Oh no, girl, that's one step too far." Because Jennifer is furious because Tamara is ruining lives. Because in the interview, she once said that Ryan was disgusting, and she also said she signed up for Real Housewives, not Mob Wives. Apparently, Jennifer's teen daughter came home asking what the mob was. And apparently, that was just ruining lives, devastation. How dare you call a gambling scandal involved individual disgusting? Oh my gosh. So I have a couple questions for Jennifer. How do you get to 13 and not know about the mob? Who doesn't know about... maybe everybody didn't watch mob movies with their families on Christmas when they were in the single digits of life, but come on. 13? In my opinion, all these ladies are ridiculous, and I can't tell any of the blonde women apart. They all look the same, and like Botox included, and I'm like, get over it. Teach your daughter about the mob. Get rid of the fiance money scandal person and move along. I wonder if she personally benefited from any of the money that he was ringing around. So that's a thought, but I mean that has nothing to do with her being upset about, but you know, minds wander allegedly. And so speaking of this continued drama, we have David Fletcher. And so yeah, piggybacking off of the gambling scandal, rumor has it that former Los Angeles Angel infielder David Fletcher allegedly gambled working with the same bookie that Shohei and Otana's interpreter used, meaning Ryan is involved in this story too in a roundabout way. Anyway, Matthew Bauer, uh, allegedly. So Fletcher's buddy and former minor league Colby Schultz also bet with Bauer allegedly, and he bet on Angels games. So they were both working with the same bookie, and although David Fletcher didn't gamble on his own games, his close friend did, so that's intriguing. We'll be following that. In March, Fletcher told ESPN he was at the 2021 poker game where Mizuhara, Shohei Otani's interpreter, met Bauer, but he denied placing any bets at the time. So maybe he just waited a year or something. The MLB has said that if a player illegally bet, but not on a baseball game, they would probably only be fined because that's sending a good message. That was my words. But if they bet on a baseball game, they could face a lifetime ban. So, because David Fletcher is still playing for a minor baseball league, so that's why they're talking about potential consequences. Mm. Okay, so I'm sure y'all heard about it. We have a little Schmid incident for some Kansas City players. There's more trouble in Kansas City franchise. Big surprise there. Chuck Wubika, Godric, and Wanya Morris, who's pictured, were arrested last week in Johnson County, Kansas. The men were nothing good happened. Tell me if I'm wrong. The men were charged with a misdemeanor of first-degree possession of Schmid. Both men were released on a $2,500 bond and will be back in court on May 23rd, which was Thursday. Godric is a designated international pathway player, and I just know Cadell is like at home, like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Because I peddled this program during the draft and it makes me look good. So anyway, I like to think of Goodell sweating over what's going on in the NFL. Jim Otto, Mr. Raider, his nickname, and Pro Hall of Famer Jim Otto passed away on May 19th. Otto played with the Raiders for 15 seasons from 1960 to 1974. And I will be writing a tribute on Otto's life on the Forkball in the month of May. So you are not going to want to miss it. We're going to really go into Mr. Raider here, but RIP, sir. And then, last but not least, on our news stories, Travis Hunter is throwing digs at the Tom Brady, and I'm here for it. So Colorado star Travis Hunter is not afraid to come for the best. During the EA Sports College Football 25 photo shoot, Hunter shaded Tom Brady in a behind-the-scenes video. Hunter was catching the ball and said, "Oh yeah, that's that Tom Brady ball. For sure, that's that Tom Brady ball. It's flat." In case anyone missed what he was saying by saying it's Tom Brady's ball, he really elaborated. And I'm like, I really appreciate his joke. So definitely had to highlight that. Thank you, Travis Hunter. As a Seahawks fan, I take this personally. All right, updates. Brad Aldridge. So do we have a Brad Aldridge round 2 story going on here? Because Nina Sanders is suing the Blackhawks as of Tuesday. She's a former contract worker, who is suing for SH. So SA, but instead H harassment. You know what I'm trying to say? Fraud and oral breach of contract. So Sanders worked for Chicago between 2020 and 2023. So this is very recent. She says that a man there made inappropriate actual advances, touched without consent, and sent her actually themed videos. She reported her essay and 2 more incidents of other women being groped by men that she was aware of. Um, Sanders claims she was pushed out of the job in a form of like retaliation sort of thing. Um, in addition to all of that, Nina's claiming fraud because they hired her, enticing her with the role, alluding to changing the logo when they had no intention to. Miss Sanders is Native American. Um, Chicago did confirm that Sanders assisted the Chicago Blackhawks' Native American efforts, whatever that means. What a contradictory just a statement. Blackhawks. Chicago Blackhawks Native American efforts. Hmm. So the Blackhawks deny all her claims, saying she was fired based on poor work performance, of course. And then they also said that Nina never reported anything while she was working, and that she did it all after she left the company, which is not unusual, by the way, for people to report what happened on their way out because they're afraid of what will happen if they do it while they work there. And most of us have to work to live, so it's not like it's like, oh, like most women, and I'm not going to say all, but most women are used to men being a pain at work. And if this is like your livelihood, like you might want to keep that. Not that any of this is right. Nobody should have to deal with any of that. But my point is it's not unusual for someone to only retaliate once they leave the position. Um. So, uh, the Blackhawks said they conducted an investigation without an outside counsel that found her claims were unsubstantiated. Shocker. All right, basketball. Brendan Paul. Allegedly, Sean Combs' drug mule, Brandon Paul, agreed to a plea deal. Once he completes a diversion program, all of his drug charges will be dropped. As a reminder, Paul was arrested in March after traveling with suspected coke and Schmied candy. And not even a good drug mule. Not even. Mm. If you play basketball like that, we know why he didn't go to Okay, Patrick Beverly. A little more background on the Beverly postseason craziness. So Beverly was the individual who threw a basketball at a man's head and then asked for the basketball back, and then once he got it, threw it again at the guy. So again, he profusely apologized, saying he has to be better and will be better. After hitting the fan in the head, with a basketball. Apparently, he sat down and got into it verbally with other fans. Security had to intervene. Beverly mentioned multiple crazy comments that crossed the line, confronting at least two fans who apologized for what they allegedly said. Um, and Beverly also reported that a security guard asked if he would like a fan to be removed after they made an allegedly inappropriate comment that the referee heard. That just sounds like he lost his temper and there was some really out of line heckling from fans. So we probably won't be talking about this one again, but I wanted to get a full breadth of the situation because just saying that he threw a basketball at someone's head is like not like a full picture of the event. All right. Basketball is depressing this week. Soccer. Luis Rubiales. What do Messi and Rubiales have to do with each other? Allegedly, text messages and audio messages were leaked between Rubiales when he was the Royal Spanish Football Federation pres and Alexander Seffern, who is the UEFA president, and players Lionel Messi and Gerard Piqué. The messages were from 2020 when soccer as a whole had the whole revenue loss thing during the pandemic, and players' pay was cut. So Messi and Piqué were financially challenged, apparently, and allegedly the players suggested that the UEFA divert funds to compensate players, i.e., them, with salary cuts. So like the UEFA would pay them like whatever amount was cut. So Rubiales heavily emphasized the players requested the utmost confidentiality when speaking to Alexander Seffern, due to backlash and the effects of their public perception. So Messi always spoke through other people, which I think is smart. He did it through PK and Rubiales, so everybody was always like speaking for him, so they don't have any like recordings of him. I see you, Messi. The UEFA did not actually divert the funds, but as a plan, so fleshed out, um, enough for any kind of legal action. I don't know, but I never thought that Rubiales and Messi would be in the same story, so here we are. Okay, so the racist soccer Spain situation, we have some efforts by FIFA because last week, after months of consulting with players facing racism, FIFA wants all 211 national federations to make racist abuse a disciplinary offense. They also designated a crossed hand gesture by victims to alert refs. And I'm like, hopefully, other people who are aware of the racism can also report it because sometimes I won't speak for race because I haven't necessarily had that experience, but I will speak for being a woman. Sometimes we don't want to be the person to report something and then have it blow up in our faces or look over dramatic or overly sensitive or something. So we might let more fly. So while another person might hear it and be like, oh, heck no. And so that's why I think it might be helpful if we have like multiple people can make this gesture. Like if one of their teammates heard it, that they could also do it. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Um, so the gesture is inspired by U.S. athlete Raven Saunders, silver medalist at the Olympics. She made the cross hand gesture at the medal podium, and this is really cool. At the time, Saunders explained the gesture, saying the X is the intersection of where all people who are oppressed meet. The ref is supposed to make the gesture back to indicate the situation is being handled back at the player. And then some of the disciplinary actions that have been kind of suggested could be utilizing more match forfeits and other serious disciplinary consequences like that. So um, we'll follow that. It feels a little bit like a band-aid on a gaping wound, but I mean, you have to start somewhere. So I will let them, especially if they're handing out strict discipline, this could be the thing that really turns the tide. So I won't judge too early. The Malaysian acid attack. The Inspector General, which sounds really important. I don't really know. I know I've heard before. I think that this is like a European version of a detective, and a lot of places that were colonized by like the British or areas around them were colonized, they have like they've taken some of the words. So my guess is Inspector General means a detective. Um, Probably a pretty high up one. Of the police indicated that they were able to pick up 3 full fingerprints and 5 incomplete at the scene the Malaysian acid attack at the mall that we've been discussing as of last week. So they got a little fingerprint action. They did say that the prints didn't match anyone in their system, meaning that whoever threw acid at the football player, Faisal Halim, has likely not offended before, which is interesting because, frankly, yes, people who do like violent crimes like this have typically done something before. So this builds a little intrigue. They also have a photo of the suspect, and they have released that to the public. So hopefully, people in Malaysia will kind of see if they can figure out who this person was. And then Selangor, that's the name of the team, FC CEO Jahan Kamal Hamadan said that he and other team officials have received warnings after the acid attack that they could be the next target, which is terrifying. Fazil Halim remains stable. He got out of ICU last week, but he still has really serious 4th-degree burns on his body. So, wow. So I have a lot of the everything else where it just doesn't fall into a category, other than, etc. basically. So I just have a gentleman here golfing. but the point of it is the golf, not the man. So we have a very specific golf crime this week, the Scotty Scheffler situation, which I think we might have briefly mentioned in Tailgate update, but this happened in between filming, so we're gonna cover it here. The Scotty Scheffler police report is revealing a lot of things. Scotty was driving to the Valhalla golf course in Louisville, Kentucky around 6 a.m. when it was still dark, wanting to prepare ahead of the second PGA championship. And some people say like nothing good happens at 3 a.m. or whatever, is in like, don't go out and party and stay out too late because like something could happen. It's just, bad news bears. And I have to say, as a night owl, well, I'm not out at 3 a.m., but I am awake. And I think being awake and starting your day at 6 a.m. sounds like nothing good happens at 6 a.m. either. And so I'm just gonna plug sleeping at 6 a.m. But anyway, a pedestrian was fatally hit by a shuttle bus previously in an unrelated incident, which is horrible, at 5 a.m. that morning, and police were directing traffic in dark and rainy conditions. The road had been mostly closed, going both ways, with police directing traffic to one entrance of Valhalla. That always sounds like something from Game of Thrones. Anyway, allegedly, Scotty tried to drive past an officer to get in the club. The officer stopped Scotty, trying to direct him, and Scheffler didn't listen and dragged the officer to the ground after accelerating into him. That's what the officer is alleging. The officer screamed at him to get out of the car, and when the golfer got out, the cop shoved him against the car and handcuffed him. Unfortunately, the officer didn't have their camera on, so we don't have full evidence of that actually happening. And one reporter had mentioned that it looked like the cop attached himself to the front of Scheffler's car, which I'm like, I would prefer a little bit more. What does that mean, basically? Attach yourself? Like he Velcro stuck himself to it? Like, so some witnesses say like he didn't get dragged. I don't know. It's dark, it's rainy, you know. I feel like this is a confusing situation. So Scheffler will be arraigned on June 3rd for second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding the cop who is directing traffic. Scheffler said it was all a big understanding, and many eyewitnesses said no officers were hit during the incident. ESPN reporter, Jack Darlington, said that the police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scotty said that he didn't anticipate doing his championship stretches in a jail cell. He was released and returned to the course about 50 minutes before his tee time at 10:08 a.m. and he tied for 8th in the championship. So, intriguing. I think there's just a lot of questions, and it all would have been much clearer if the cop had their camera on, which is why they're always supposed to have it. And so I look forward to seeing what gets resolved here, but misunderstanding, even if you didn't drag the cop, it sounds like the only thing you're misunderstanding is that the rules apply to you, but I don't know enough to fully say that. So in another episode of CTE SPN, I bring you Ryan Garcia. He is really cracking under the weight of potential pet allegations right now. He dropped a video of himself singing to an orangutan in his Mercedes vehicle's passenger seat. The primate ate grapes and looked as over it as all of social media was. Like, what is this crazy man singing to me for? I mean, it bizarre. Google the images because it is the weirdest thing. This poor orangutan is like, can you shut up, please? Anyway, in addition, this week Garcia made a jab at Devin Haney's mom, which is always a good start, and he also made a odd claim on Jake Paul's podcast. This is bizarre. Okay, this week I just don't know what's going on. Okay, because On Jake Paul's podcast, Garcia said he dropped 1 mil on an engagement ring, which like cool story, but I kind of think like if you're rich, I don't have that personal affliction in my life, so I don't know, but I feel like a lot of rich athletes probably get their partners $1 million ring engagement rings. I don't really know, but it's kind of a weird flex because I just feel like okay, cool. Um, do you want a cookie? Like, I just don't know. Anyway, yeah, saying he proposed to adult film star Savannah Bond. Garcia FaceTimed Bond on the podcast, and told Paul she was not dating Ryan. In response, Garcia said, "Baby, my girlfriend, what are you doing?" Which is awkward. Awkward. Either earlier on in the interview, he said that they had broken up post engagement. So I mean, we don't know either, folks. Are they dating? Are they engaged? Are they not? Were they never dating? The world will never know. But what they do know is that Garcia allegedly spent $1 million on an engagement ring, which apparently matters. So there you go. So football. Football, we say best for last, of course. Tyler Rogers, our alleged serial rapist. Um, as of May 15th, Tylen has been cut by the UW and is no longer on the 2024 roster. Thank God. It feels a little late coming, but anyway. Rogers will appear in court for the 2 essays that he allegedly did in July. So we'll be following like he's like 19 now, and he's already like what an awful place to be in as a 19-year-old. So young. So much pain in such short time. Okay, Britt Reed. So we're a little late on the story, but a March report showed that Britt Reed's wife filed for divorce in 2023, and it appears now that they're no longer married after 10 years of marriage and 3 kids later. Kirsten, who was a social media like influencer type, has stopped all posting on social media and stopped her online business since the divorce news dropped in March. Is his ex the only person who's holding him accountable? It appears to be so, but I'm glad somebody's doing it. All right. Antonio Brown. So the big news, who even knows? AB announced he filed for bankruptcy on Monday, saying it was the greatest bankruptcy announcement of all time. He dropped the news on Twitter. That's our second edition of CTE SBN. Jerry Jones, Jerry and Friends, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmett Smith, Deion Sanders, Jimmy Johnson, the coach, Barry Switzer, and George W. Bush, our former president, will be featured on a 10-episode Netflix special. NFL Film partnering with Skydance Sports is going to provide never before seen footage and the definite story on Jerry Jones. This will be on Netflix. So that will be interesting. Well, I mean, legally they can't even get into the lawsuits, right? Because you can't talk about it until it's been resolved. I don't really know the ins and outs of lawsuits. It's not been an issue for me, but it's like I'm like, really, do we have the definitive story? I have doubts, but anyway, it'll probably still be a pretty good watch. Brett Favre. So, ex-Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant is suing the Arena Group, the former Sports Illustrated publishers, and reporter Michael Rosenberg over defamation on a May 2023 article that allegedly implied that he was a driving force behind the welfare scandal that Brett Favre was involved in. So, in response, Sports Illustrated has not removed the article. It just like the legal ramifications of the situation that Favre is sort of weaved into is like the fallout, it just goes for days. There's been so many lawsuits because of this incident. Anyway, Trey Holly. So the legal system is not on a football schedule, folks. Who knew? Holly was planning on returning to the team in the summer after his legal troubles were resolved. Um, which that doesn't even seem realistic because I mean, I typically like I mean, I guess if he was going to be in court in the beginning of summer and if they're talking about the very end of summer, but these things take time. However, the judge stepped down, recusing himself because of a conflict of interest, which turned out to be that his son-in-law was involved with the investigation of the case that Trey Holly is getting, that the charges are stemming from, which was like really nice that the judge is being honest. But this just like completely foils LSU's plan, and who can have that happen? Um, the case will likely, because it has to be reassigned to a new judge, it probably won't happen until 2025. And so LSU probably isn't going to reinstate Trey Holly until they have until the case is like resolved in court, meaning that now they are short of running backs and they're just gonna have to go running back shopping apparently, and they really wanted Trey Holly, and now everybody's in a big lurch at LSU, and I have to say, you didn't see any of this coming. Like, I don't know. The court system is so slow, and he's been having so many different charges coming and going and everything. So I'm kind of confused as to why they were banking on him being there, but yeah, still a pain. And if he is found innocent, like very frustrating and negative for his career. So I get that part. Um, the Patriots are back in the news for cheating back in the day. Who can believe it? Because now we have vet Steelers James Harrison coming out saying that the Patriots cheated in the 2004 AFC Championship game. Um, Jerome Bettis and Big Ben had already echoed the same sentiment, but now we have Harrison weighing in too, saying they cheated because they only missed one blitz, even though they couldn't see the broad side of a barn, which I thought was pretty funny. Bettis said the Patriots had somehow decoded all of the Steelers' signals, which is something that they got in trouble for with a different team a couple years later. So it's not exactly the most outrageous claim. And the 2004 win was the Patriots' second Super Bowl win in 3 years, and a year that for many people marked the beginning of the Patriots dynasty. So we got more people weighing in. Tank Dell. Dell is back practicing with his trainer, and his trainer posted a video of Dell running routes just 3 weeks after being shot in the leg. So it looks like no prior injuries are holding Dell back. Getting shot in the leg, and also his prior injury from last season. So that was really great to see. He's certainly been through enough. But I'm just impressed because I can't imagine after 3 weeks, if I was shot in the leg, that I'd be like, yeah, let's get back on the football field. But I mean, maybe because I love my work, so maybe I would want to return. But his work is very physical. So, like, I'm really impressed by his tenacity. Because I mean, how scary, right? But like, so cool. And I'm really happy to hear it. So the Tom Brady roast. Yes, Tom Brady's face was in here twice. Could have been more. Anyway, Nikki Glazer was hot on the tail for who had booed Kim K because that like really upset her, which I appreciate. Glazer said that it was a wild guy comedian who has a reputation for starting shit sort of randomly. She suspected he was a few drinks in and just randomly booed. Um, and then it sort of started like a cascade of boos because, you know, you have one start it and maybe other people wanted to join in. Glazer said that the boos didn't even rattle Kim K. She just went on to nail her lines. Nikki showered Kim K with lots of compliments in the entertainment article. And I thought that that was really sweet and an example of a woman straightening another lady's crown. Um, and like, folks, only boo people when it's bad, not because you have an issue with her. I mean, come on. Like, honestly, do we not have an issue with a lot of the people in this roast? Like, come on. Anyway, Rashi Rice, finally something went in his favor because the photographer who said he allegedly hit him wants to drop the charges. So one less issue, which means it would be only the reckless driving situation. And I don't think that that's... I believe people said any, like, legal ramifications would be next season. That there would be a period of time while they're, like, investigating and everything. But, I mean, at least he doesn't have another case, you know? So Rice is celebrating this one victory by doing OTAs with the Chiefs. So that is lovely. He said, I'm not going down. And, Lucy says, I'm snuggling. I am the biggest fan of the if you know, you know, and I want to be left alone with my fuzzy blanket. So we will do that for her. But I mean, what is a podcast without a cat, frankly? So that is it this week, folks. True Crime with Judge Julian. And so I will be here next week and the week after that and the week after that to keep bringing you sports news, sports true crime news. All right. Have a great one, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, and comment your thoughts on the content. Okay, thank you.